Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Mashpee School Committee meeting of August 16th, 2023 to order. I have 5:31 as the time, and first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Mashpee Public Schools recognize and honor the many generations of Wampanoag people who live here and have been sustained in this territory for more than 10,000 years. Okay. Next order is to ratify the agenda of August 16th, 2023. I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we ratify the agenda for August 16th, 2023.
Thank you, Brian.
That will second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussions, comments? Hearing none. Dan?
I vote yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment at this time? Okay, thank you. And now for some exciting part of our meeting here. We're going to welcome some new members of Team Mashpee.
Great. So I do want to say that I think the principals have done an outstanding job this year of hiring. It feels like about a 5-month process of hiring. I don't know. I feel like we've been doing it a long time, but really, really wonderful new members of our team. And just an overview, we have 7 new members at the Coombs School, and I believe Principal O'Brien is still looking to hire 1 more para. And then at the Quashnet School, so far, Principal Switzer has hired 12 new people, and I think he has 1 more teacher, special education teacher, to find. At the Mashpee Middle High School, Principal McSweeney has hired 12 new members, and we are still looking to hire 4 more positions there. And then at the district level, we have hired 2 individuals, one of whom is here this evening, and one of our high school members is here. And we are still looking to fill 3 positions as well. You have a more detailed sheet of sort of ins and outs as members there. So I think I would invite our new members, if they wouldn't mind saying something about themselves, maybe where they came from or their years of doing what their profession is. So we have Devin McMurray. He's coming on board as a physics teacher at Mashpee Middle High School. So welcome, Devin.
Hi, it's Mike.
You're good.
You're good.
It's all right. It's my pleasure to be here. You know, I'm a Barnstable resident. I grew up here on the Cape, in fact, in Barnstable High. And I remember when Mashpee was a lot different when I was a kid. I've been off the Cape for quite some time. I taught at West Bridgewater High School for 26 years. I went to Bridgewater State, and I just ended up at West Bridgewater. You never know, and it fit for me, and I was there for a very long time. I have 2 young kids. They're in fact coming to Mashpee Public Schools, so there's some great things. Maybe want to come back here, and I kind of came home. You know, I moved back to Cotuit, where I grew up, and that's why I've been gone. I came back and visited intermittently over the past 30 years. But now that I live back here, and I drive around not only Cotuit and the Cape, but Mashpee in general, it's just grown incredibly, and it's an amazing town. I was really fortunate to have a position open, and when I moved my family down here, I can now have my commute from Cotuit here. I like to think I bring a lot to the table. I've taught all kinds of different courses, and I'm real passionate about what I do, physics and a whole lot of other things. So I've heard a lot of great things, and I'm excited to get on board.
One of the interesting things that Devin had shared from his past district is he was always the senior class advisor. So unlike how we rotate through and someone stays with the group of kids for 4 years, that's specifically just a senior, which I see many advantages to that, because there's such a load that if you don't know what you're doing, it slows the process down. So
as someone who sat at the graduation in West Bridgewater for 9 years and listened to Devin read the names of the students, he did a phenomenal job. And I saw his work firsthand in science, but also as the senior class advisor. He's awesome.
And lucky as we are to get a physics teacher, because they are a rare breed, we feel good that West Bridgewater was lucky enough to find a replacement for him as well. So didn't feel as bad when we took
I
him.
felt good about it. In fact, West Bridgewater is a great district.
Yeah.
And I love it there too.
Yeah.
However, you can see Hope's mentioned that we work together there, and part of her, passion for being down here was helping me make my decision to come down.
Awesome.
They're great things so far, and I look forward to that.
Great. Thank you
I
for
feel like
coming.
we should introduce ourselves too.
Yes, I think
And I
so,
know
too.
we have somebody else to come up and speak as well, but I'm Kathy Lewis, the chair for this year. This is my 4th year on the committee. Grew up in Mashpee, went through Mashpee schools myself, came back after college, and I have a daughter going into 9th grade. So not yet in physics, but but yeah, that's I just really believe in education, and that's why I'm here. And then we have our vice chair.
Hi, I'm Brian Whedon. I'm the vice chairman of the school committee. I also serve as the chairman and president of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe, which is the federally recognized sovereign nation here in the Commonwealth as well. And this is my first year. It's a 3-year term, so I'll be up for re-election this May if I decide to seek re-election. It's been a great process, and look forward to working with you. Thank you for being here.
What year?
It's not your first
It's
year.
his 3rd year, his first
No,
term.
it's-
First
First
term.
term. Oh,
Oh,
Third year.
you've been here a while.
Yeah.
third year,
Dan,
first
on the
term.
other hand.
Me, yeah. On the other hand, I'm Daniel Rodriguez. I am the newest member of the committee. I have 2 little ones that are at Casey Coombs, and really excited to be a part of this. And welcome to Team Mashpee.
And also, we have our newest addition, our student advisory representative. So, Andrew?
Andrew.
My name's Andrew. My first year here, not Mashpee yet. Kindergarten. First year on the school committee, and I think this is a very good committee. I think they're open to a lot of stuff. They're very thorough, very good at their job, and I'm just excited to be here and to help them hear the voice of the students.
So Mr. Murray is a really good guitar player,
Oh,
and Andrew is the sickest bass player you've seen. So you guys have a lot in common.
So, Fred, welcome.
Welcome.
Looking
Thank
forward
you very
to
much.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight. And then we also have Kelly McVeigh. She is the district float nurse, which means that she spends time in all 3 schools and supports Stacy as well in her district coordinator role. So why don't you share a little about yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kelly McVeigh. I'm from Central Mass area and moved to the Cape 2 years ago. I've been a nurse for 32 years and have some experience in the Sutton Public Schools when my 3 sons went to school there. Set up kind of similar to this town. Some of the class sizes were about 100, but you could literally walk from pre-K all the way through to the high school, so everything was out on campus. It was kind of nice. But looking to, I was working in the UMass Medical Center for many years, and sick of crossing that bridge for the last couple of years since moving here. So really needed to make a change. And thinking back to what I really love to do, and that was working in school. So I'm so happy that everything kind of lined up. It's kind of a nice way to ease back into school nursing, to be in, each of the different schools and the different age groups, and very happy to be here.
Once again, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kelly, for coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
And I don't know if we want to, I don't think we have any other members. Today was the second actually the third of their 3 days of orientation, 2 of which were this week and 1 was last week. So some of our newest members might be a little tired, but we do have Kathy McSweeney over there, and I do have sort of her own introduction, but I don't know if, do you want to wait to do Kathy, or it just feels, I don't know where.
I'll let you decide. If you want to do it now, if you want to wait. I mean, we did ratify the agenda, so
Okay, so I'll wait.
I'm going to go with procedure. So,
Acknowledging she is a new member.
which we will meet very
Shortly.
Okay. Well, again, welcome
Thank
to those who are here, and also to those who were not here. I hope everybody has a great year that's about to start. So, welcome. Okay, next item, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve from our July 19th meeting and from our August 8th retreat. So I guess let's start with the July 19th minutes.
So after reviewing, Madam Chair, I move to approve the meeting minutes for July 19th as they are presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. And any discussion on that? None. Dan?
I vote yes.
Brian?
Abstain.
And I also vote yes, but I believe that, because I don't know if,
Abstention.
yes,
Okay.
okay, all right, just want to make
As
sure.
long as you have a quorum.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
No, it's a good point.
Sorry, I was like blanking for a minute. And I was like, she did time. So, all right, so moving on now to our minutes from our retreat on August 8th. Entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the meeting minutes from August 8th, 2023.
Thank you, Brian.
And I will second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? Hearing none. Dan?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I also am a yes. And just to clarify, Andrew, because this is kind of your first one, when we get to the discussion part, you are able to discuss if there's something that you want to bring up, like if the motion's there and you want to bring up, we can discuss it prior to. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. Superintendent DeBoer, back to you.
So now we could have Principal McSweeney come up. And I do admit to taking a little bit of a cheat off of a letter that she sent to her school community. But Ms. McSweeney has spent 36 years in education, beginning her career as a health and physical education teacher and coach, and concluding her career as a high school principal. During her tenure, she also was a director of athletics, health, and physical education at Agawam High School for 10 years and an assistant principal there for 4 years as well. Her first principalship was at the Gateway Regional High School, where she spent 8 years in that position. She ended her career at Plymouth North High School, where she was involved with opening that brand new school, and she spent 8 years in that role. And so when we had our opening here at Mashpee Middle High School, we did make the decision to, because of the timing of the vacancy, to search for an interim principal. And we really wanted to find someone who had experience and knew the job like in her sleep kind of thing. And we were so fortunate to connect with Kathy, and that she was willing to sort of put a few plans maybe on hold for this year to lead Mashpee Middle High School. And we talked together about sort of a vision for the school, and it was really to make sure that the staff feels supported, that the students are noticed and valued and supported, that everyone feels safe, and that the culture and the way the building functions is left in a better place at the end of the year than when she found it, so that the person who is coming in, hopefully for a long-term commitment, will be taking on a really great school. It is a great school, but it'll be even greater. So I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm happy to be here because it's such a wonderful vibe and spirit in this community.
Yeah.
It's been a short time since I've been here. We're making some changes. We're meeting people. We're being introduced to students, and staff has stopped by, but certainly can tell that this community, simply by the physical plan, is invested in education. And as I get to meet the people that are involved in the physical plan, you can see the spirit, you can see the commitment, you can see that they want to do well by the students and for that they're going to do it. So I'm thrilled to be part of it. And thank you for the opportunity.
Lucky to have you.
Andrew, did you have anything you wanted to say to Principal McSweeney?
Very glad to have you.
Sit down and speak with you a bit, and to get to hear your side from the student's perspective. That would be great.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent.
Dan?
Just welcome. We had a few moments to say hello in the hallway, but I appreciate you obviously stepping in, and excited to see where the year goes.
Katapatash, which is a formal way of saying thank you in the Wampanoag language. Look forward to working with you and seeing how we can help you in your new role and support you. Patty and the staff that you have is phenomenal, and anything we can do to support the students, extracurricular activities, programs, or events that you feel we should be at, please don't
welcome. I just want to echo what you've been hearing. We're happy that you've taken on this year to help kind of stabilize things a little bit and get us where we need to be. And like Patty said, keep moving the school forward. So thank you. It's appreciated, and I look forward to working with you and seeing, what you do to kind of keep things going and what great new ideas you bring, because I have a feeling we're going to hear some ideas as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Good. Excellent.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I feel looking forward to it.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda is school year 23-24 preliminary planning and convocation. And like I said, we finished the 3 days of new employee orientation today. We have some grade 3 scavenger hunts tomorrow and the next day, are they? Yes, in grade 3. Next week, we have on the 22nd a larger leadership team meeting for pretty much most of the day, and that includes our instructional team leaders pre-K to 6. Special subject, they have a leader as well. We're going to be working with our attorney with a certain part of that group in the morning, so that should be good learning. We also have our annual bus driver meeting. I believe that's the morning of the 22nd. That's in this building as well. And it's really an opportunity for us to touch base with drivers, because although they don't, we don't pay their salary in terms of that level of employee and employer relationship, they are key members of our team, and they are the first face of Mashpee for all of our kids. So we just reinforce expectations that we have for our kids' experiences, what we expect of the student behavior, the bus driver behaviors, parent behaviors. Our principals all share thoughts and who bus drivers should expect to see every day at the buses, in terms of that line of communication. So that's a good meeting. Next Friday, the 25th, is a staff and their families and school committee and their families. The cookout that we had, or back to school barbecue we had last year, was a beautiful evening, very successful event. And so we're doing it again on that Friday from 5 to 6:30, I believe, on the field between these two schools. And it really is just a great opportunity to connect as human beings, not worrying about is your room ready and what's your roster look like and all those other stressors that everybody worries about, particularly Sunday night of that weekend, maybe Tuesday night of the weekend. Then we're up to the following week. On the 28th and 29th of August are the 2 staff PD days. You are most welcome to be part. We have ADL training on the first day. Morning is at one school or elementary, and opposite for the high school. But on Tuesday, which is convocation, that's 8-ish to 8:30 is kind of when I'm planning to start at 8:30. So I'm hoping any member who wants to come or can come. I'm hoping that Kathy can speak as chair. I'm hoping Brian could speak as chair of the tribe. If everybody could I'll send you out some reminders. And if you're able to stay, Calvin Mackey is our sort of guest PD provider, and he's doing from 10 to 11:15. Is that what it is? Yes. You're also welcome to stay for lunch. There's rumored to be puppies. We'll see. And then our kids, our grades 1 through 12 start on Wednesday, which is the 30th. And then pre-K and K join them on the 31st. So then we're fully staffed and, I don't know what you call it when you have all your students there, staffed and whatever. Right. We're together as a whole unit on the 31st, and then there's 4 days off. So, but I will send you a reminder, and I think I think it's the last one of my pages in here. There are some upcoming dates that you can, I didn't mention, which I should mention, the Jump Start Night on the 23rd at Mashpee Middle High School. I think it's from 5 to 6:30. That is for rising 7th graders and all students who are new to that building or new to the school. It is an opportunity to learn about expectations, get a feel for the school, but also, if you don't have a Chromebook, 6th graders do have Chromebooks, so coming in, but if you're new to Mashpee, that's when you can make sure that you get set for that.
This one in the packet says 7, just 5 to 7.
Oh, what did I say, 6:30? Oh, well,
No, I'm just
yeah, thank you.
in case anybody looks and gets
Yes, yes. So that's very busy next couple of weeks. In terms of anybody have any questions? Okay. In terms of personnel, I did highlight the fact that we have the numbers at each of the schools. You have this more detailed handout that shows also movements of current employees who are taking new positions. So there's just been a lot of movement on the chessboard, and we hope that in the end, or maybe it should be a checkerboard. In the end, we hope that all spaces are covered the way they should be. And like I got to stop using metaphors. Like I said, though, we have been so impressed with the people that we meet, and so the principals always forward their recommended candidate, usually one, and unless there was something discovered, it's usually the one. But we have loved all of them, and really, they've just shared some levels of expertise and outside interests, and it's just really going to enrich our staff, and I'm very excited about this group coming in. So. We have our administrators here. I don't know if there's anything they would like to share of anything or not.
We're just really anxious to welcome our kids back to school and the staff. It'll be great to have them back, although we see so many of them during the camp every day. It is very busy at Coombs. There are about 215 students in that camp. So it is great to see them. And all of our older kids, our middle school kids, and some of the ninth graders are all the counselors in training. So it is just a very vibrant environment. I'm very excited about it.
Yes, I went over to see the school yesterday, the day before, and it is so lively with all of the kids. And like she said, with the middle schoolers, which when they're in training, it's sort of like, as Kathy said today, it's a way to get your Honor Society hours in because you're doing a lot of volunteering.
Yeah, she's done. 281 hours of volunteer work, apparently, so she's done.
But just to share, like with Mary Kate's teachers, elementary teachers are a unique set of individuals who probably would start decorating rooms in July if they could. And so that being the last school to get cleaned because the camp ends Friday. And so where others can get in sooner than that, they're going to have to wait a little bit for those rooms to get cleaned and those floors to get waxed. Our schools are beautiful, and I do want to give a shout out to DPW. They are flexible because we've had some unplanned tasks that we've asked them to do, and they have done them. The guys are always so pleasant and really and I don't know what it's like in other districts, but our crews work so hard and everything gets so sparkly clean, and I think our buildings look fabulous, and you would never guess in some cases that they are the age that they are, and I think it's a tribute to the DPW department, so kudos to all of them. So any other comments that any principal would like to share? No, I did not, so that's a good idea. So I can share that originally the Quashnet School Open House was going to be September 14th, and the Coombs Open House was going to be September 28th. There's no change to the middle school, they're the 21st, but the elementary schools have flipped, and I don't know if I have that on here. I thought I caught it. Yes, I did catch it. So the 14th is Coombs and the 28th is Quashnet, and we will make sure to continue to communicate that. I know some of the letters that got sent home before we made the switch had different dates. So, but we have a good amount of time to make sure everybody's on the same page when it comes to open houses. So thank you for that reminder. All right. Yes. Yes, you may.
Continue with what Mr. DeVore said. If you come to the high school, you'll notice a change already this year. One of the things I believe strongly is the visibility and the safety and security of the students and being out and about. So we've taken the dean's offices from the main office, and one dean will now be up on the second floor, and the other dean will be at the end of the first floor to take the accessible, the visible, et cetera, so Mrs. DeVore's point, the DPW work, that was a large task. It took a lot of work because there were also teachers that were shifting and smiles on their faces, working really hard to get that done. The second thing is a funny story. Devin spoke to you about coming from West Bridgewater. My sister is principal at West Bridgewater high school, so and I found that out today when I had the opportunity to meet him. And I have to think somewhere in his social circles this evening or this weekend, he's going to say, I love one sister.
What are the odds of that? That is,
Amazing.
it
So
really.
Kathy is the second McSweeney that I have gotten to work with as well, because Christine, her sister, I worked with in West Bridgewater. And Kathy is actually the more sedate, I would say, of the two.
Well, thank you.
Okay. All right, so I think we covered most of the upcoming events, so we're good there.
All right, and so if there's any questions for the superintendent and her assist?
We do have Ashley via Zoom. Okay.
So I just want to make sure, okay, everybody? All right, so Ashley, you're on.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi. So in your packet is the FY23 closeout that we discussed last week. In it, you can see all of the transfers and then also the turn back of $101,000 in the breakout that is applicable to payroll and expenditures. Also in the packet is the FY24 general fund. As we're just in the start of the year, you can see that most of our money right now is in encumbrances, and we're quickly ordering all of the supplies to start the school year. And then the third thing I have tonight is just the approval of updated sub rates for our substitute teachers as well as nurses and our recess monitors and bus monitors. Do you have any questions?
Andrew, any questions? Dan,
No questions.
Brian?
So we're looking for a vote on this?
Yes, we need to
Yeah.
vote to approve the
Just
substitute raise,
Just
yeah,
this one.
page 12, correct?
Yes, page 12.
All right, and I will entertain a motion to approve the rates as presented.
Motion.
And I will second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes.
And that's there.
Oh, Matt.
I'm just gonna abstain where I just got in.
I was looking down. Matt, how do you vote?
I'm just abstaining where I just got in.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. So 3 and 1 abstention. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Feel
Thank you,
better.
Ashley.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Let's see. So, next up, we have the changes to updates to parent-student handbooks for Coombs, Quashnet, and Mashpee Middle High School, which is pages 13 through 23 of our packet. I believe we also have handouts of the entire handbook for each school as well. Thank you for presenting kind of the topic, the change, and the rationale. That's always helpful to see. So I guess.
I didn't know if you wanted, I think Mashpee Middle High School has a few more sort of significant changes than the elementary, but I don't know, not to put anyone on the spot, most of the elementary changes are minor, but I don't want to take away from anyone's opportunity to highlight anything, if you want to. Anything in the health updates always comes through Nurse Stacy. The bully prevention intervention plan is making sure the one that you approved in December is in there. The wellness policy was updated in June. That has to be in there. There is new guidance about no idling. So we're going to, maybe we need more signs, but, there's a lot of parents that idle. And we need to make sure our buses aren't idling as well. There was, I'm sort of working upwards. I don't know why I'm not coming down the sheet, but whatever. Harassment, that's just an expansion of some language than that was given to us by Sarah. We actually had Sarah review the Mashpee Middle High School changes ahead of time as well. There's some heading changes, referencing again with discipline based on changes in the law and trainings. Adding a sentence in all books about defining residency. At the Coombs School, they need to stop using their smartwatches during class time and school hours. No. They're very high-tech children down there. So that's not too much in the Coombs School. The Quashnet School is very similar. I don't know, let me just quickly scan. A little bit about, yeah, so there's the piece, page 18, if you're looking at reference. You know, we're not really so worried about our Coombs kids with plagiarism, so that one's not in there. But most of the rest are the same. We do try to have the books be as consistent as possible. Oh, yeah, well, it's page, but, and I will say page numbers in the actual books, particularly in middle high school, may shift from what they're identified in here. So it's meant to be somewhat of a scavenger hunt game for you to find what we're talking about. No, we're going to be fixing all those. So any questions on elementary level? Anyone have any questions?
Nope.
They're really sort of minor. Mashpee Middle High School was adding their mission statement, which wasn't in there before. They've added a section on late work based on the need to provide clarification for students and families. Those are sort of minor ones. The E-Hall Pass, which was implemented beginning, I think it was February of last year, but there was no wording in the handbook specific to the E-Hall Pass, so that was added. Some of this, which is included in this chart, was already in there in terms of discipline, but making sure that they all match the same. A little bit on eligibility in the athletics and co-curriculars, extracurriculars. A little clarification on field trip eligibility. Not all this language is necessarily new. I think in this handbook too, most of it's highlighted, wherever the new part is. A little clarification for office detention. The community service, restorative justice, educational programming, again, to sort of update and revise slightly. We've got to make sure we account for the hoverboards and segways, page 41. I believe that's related to bring anything but a backpack to school, because on that one day when everyone apparently is allowed to do that, they brought some things that were not so safe in the past. Right, Andrew?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What did you bring? Did you bring anything strange?
Bucket.
Oh, bucket. That's a nice, safe
I
choice.
love that day, first of all.
They're very creative. We have very creative children. Okay, so cell phone, personal electronic devices, one of the changes specifically with cell phones. Last year, it was no cell bell to bell, which mainly referred to class time. The problem with that is that then individual teachers did have some choice in the matter, and it was okay in this room, not okay in this room. It's very distracting to learning. We see it when we go through the classrooms. Most educators see it as well. It just does, and it may create some challenges this year. And I have been communicating in the last 2 emails I've sent to families, and will continue to do so, that our kids do have sort of that addiction-like connection to their phones, and they need to start doing a little bit of weaning. Just like we always say, as school approaches, get back on a sleep schedule. Maybe they need to sort of get on a tech schedule that will allow them to not have challenges. But anyway, the new cell phone policy is that they can use it during breakfast, lunch, and homeroom. And the homeroom is actually shifting to some point inside the day. The what? After second period. Okay, and then, so cell phones are not permitted in class during class time unless warranted by a teacher's lesson plan for a specific learning activity, or during the 3 minutes of passing time between classes. And then also engagement with the smartwatch during the school day is prohibited, because really you can do pretty much everything on there that you need to. And it really has become quite an unhealthy distraction for students' mental health as well as their academic outcomes. So we're going to go for it. We'll see how that goes. I haven't had so many emails in response to that. Parents do seem to be more supportive on that. We do have some language in here sort of cautioning parents about, sometimes parents are the texters to their children, which is a hard thing, and because they feel that that's a right as well, but it does have an impact on the whole school, on the classroom learning environment. And then we do give some guidance that if it's a really important message you need to get to your child, that could cause them to be upset with sadness or maybe elation. Either way, it could be disruptive to the peers around them, that please call the office, we'll call them down. They can still text them in that setting or however they want to do it. But hopefully we can shift the culture a little bit when it comes to the cell phones. Not too many changes with the driving to school. Student lockers, we don't really use. The harassment language was updated to match the others. Little emphasis on bus infractions. Hallway behavior was in there before.
Yes, just backing up for a quick second. I do have a question about lockers.
Yeah.
I know COVID, we kind of stopped lockers. I guess I'm just curious, in the high school and even in Quashnet where there are lockers, like are they, Quashnet, you're assigning lockers, right? So your policy, but in high school, are they gonna, I mean, I know not a lot of kids use them, do they?
Not even before COVID.
Not even
No.
before COVID? Okay.
I know from my part as a student, I think I was the only one that wanted to use a locker, so I asked my homeroom teacher and he's like, yeah, I can assign you a locker.
Okay.
But then I never ended up using it.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
What do you do with your coat?
That's kind of where I'm going with it, like codes.
I actually just stored it in my backpack, right?
Yeah, they really-
Okay.
So the opportunity for the student would like.
It's there.
Is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
A lot of the newer schools, I don't even think put lockers in their schools. Some of the new ones that we've gone into. Okay, so,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. The other one that's sort of stirring up attention is the change from where it was always the intention that we went, when we're a one-to-one district, that we would be, we issue someone a Chromebook, that's the technology we expect them to use. And then I think because of COVID and home situations, that it got a little different. And then what we noticed in the spring, we went through some of the upper class classrooms and everyone had their own device except maybe 4 students in one. And I remember being in a particular English class. And so we want to shift back. There's various reasons to go back. I'm going to read something that Susie Brooks shared with me yesterday. She did about 90 minutes of technology with our new staff, and she was explaining very well what the rationale behind it. I have given a shortened version when I have said in my communications that in order to preserve our MPS network, to ensure equity of access, to prioritize student safety, and to improve the learning environment, students are not allowed to bring their own device to school. And just to expand and hope we can share a little bit about it as well, but this is what from Susie. Choosing to be a one-to-one Chromebook district in Mashpee was an important decision for all students and should provide us with consistency across all schools. Our network is configured to handle the specific devices we have purchased and the speeds they require. We control this further through content filtering when it comes to streaming services and educational websites our teachers request. Our district devices are filtered and monitored through Securely to be in compliance with privacy and safety standards, and in several instances we have had opportunities to keep our most vulnerable students safe. Teachers have tools at their fingertips to secure testing environments, minimize distractions, condense resources, and communicate with students. These particular tools in Securely Classroom only work on school devices. Professional development and training is all based on students using Chromebooks in the classroom. Our tech support is highly specialized to include the devices we provide for our students and staff. Students are on an even playing field in regards to the approved apps they have access to, the device features they can use, and the functionality of their device. Bring your own device has put an increased strain on our network, posed a greater security risk, made lesson planning an unnecessary challenge for teachers, and has caused instances of disruption to the learning process. Students with upgraded devices, Macs or other gaming devices, have access to apps and features during the day that other students do not, which can be distracting and inequitable. During MCAS, we are having to provide loaner devices to about 20% of testing students because they are bring your own device and their school device is somewhere at home. We do not always have that kind of inventory prepared to hand out, but we make do because they have to take it on the Chromebook. Before COVID, we had fewer than 10 students turn in their assigned Chromebook and fill out a bring your own device agreement each year. Official bring your own device numbers are down since then. Instead, there have been a significant number of students who have started using personal devices without turning in their device or filling out the form at all. There has been an outcry from teachers at MMHS about the challenges of having personal devices in their classes, and this has coincided with the struggles we face on our network. We are also concerned about how many devices are unused at home and might they resurface in the coming weeks. So she did say this year all students with round cord devices will receive one with a flat cord. Starting next year, students starting 9th grade will receive a replacement device, so that means they will have one device that carries them from grades 6, 7, 8, and then one that will carry them 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's really why we've gone to this change in the policy, in the handbook.
Any questions on that one? Start with you. No.
Not really. I understand the need for it. I don't think many students are going to be happy, but I agree with it personally.
Dan?
No additional questions.
Brian? Matt? Any questions? I guess I had a couple of questions. Do we know how many kids are currently, I know you just kind of touched on it, but does Susie anticipate or have a general idea of how many students will be requiring Chromebooks? And if so, I know, you mentioned also at that night, but part of me feels that's a little late. Like I feel like they should get it prior to school starting, I guess.
I did.
So I'm a little concerned about the timing of students getting this required school-issued Chromebook, especially if there's a large number of students that were previously bring your own device, which I believe it is going to be a pretty high.
I did ask Susie about it today. The majority of people who have brought their own Macs to school have a school-issued Chromebook.
Okay.
So they need to find it, charge it, and we will support them. There is time in that first week, and we really want our teachers focused on sort of relationship building versus but they would need a Chromebook. So Susie's on it, and we'll address, and she's had different emails from families already. But it's not everyone was issued. Unless they officially turned it back in, they will get another one.
And I guess that's the other question.
Yes.
So does she know? And she knows
she
that
does know
number of people. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very small.
Okay. Then you kind of touched on it just then as well, but a grace period for students who do need to find, are we considering a grace period at all for students who need to locate their previously issued? I guess my concern is that someone might have put it somewhere or the cord might be, the charging cord might be the thing that has grown legs and walked out of the room at some point. You know what I mean? I guess I'm just wondering, is there going to be a grace period on some level to allow students to find or replace what they need to replace?
Here's what I'll say, is that no kid who comes in and doesn't have a device can't borrow a device. Currently, kids borrow a device if they come in without
Okay,
that.
so that's what
So that is in place.
Okay.
I would say no, we will not give a grace period for kids to bring their own.
No.
Because we really need to set up the year with this in place. But we are not able to teach kids if they don't have their devices because so much of what we do is on
that I
there.
understand.
So no, yes, that's,
Okay. So
that
there
would
will
be
be
the-
devices available to students
loaners.
as loaners until they are able to replace or
I don't
locate.
know if I'd say until, because there's a time frame where they
Well,
then have to
that's-
replace it.
That's what I'm.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting.
You got to
user
produce it,
agreement
yeah.
Has a fee scale that we would give them what they need, and then they would receive a bill at home. So they get it while we're waiting to get the money. They don't have to pay the money before they get it.
Okay. And so families that were previously bring your own device that had filled out the form, if they haven't already, should contact Susie Brooks to set up a time prior to the start of school to get their device.
To get a device issued to them.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And loaner devices don't always look the prettiest, but they work. Okay. Any other thoughts before I just finish whatever? Let's see, Chromebooks, network injury. Nothing else stands out as being out there, so I think that's a good summary. And you do have the actual books if you, and I know you all spent all weekend reading those books because they're good reading.
Well, amongst other things.
All right.
So I know it was considered first read.
Yeah.
So
So, it is considered first read, I don't know.
Madam Chair, may I actually back up for a moment to
Yes.
the Quashnet School?
Yes.
So I guess it, in my viewpoint, maybe connects a little bit to the idling change. But how does that play into some of the traffic pattern issues that have taken place, I guess, during school pickup? If folks shouldn't be theoretically idling during that time frame?
I think once the pickup line is moving, that's different, but I think part of the idling that I observe is those who come really early and then they sit there. But I think about Coombs dismissal and also Quashnet, it generally, you in this particular school, you line up and they basically send out all those kids at that time. If you're lined up in front of the sidewalk, you really probably should have your engine off. And then as that first flow goes through, I believe they're pretty quick with the rest of the kids running out to their cars. So in that case, I think it's just sort of that waiting time when nothing's happening because you're there early.
People come like literally.
There's people here an hour early.
No, I mean.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've come to sign warrants sometimes, and like, yeah, the line's been there, like,
Oh, yeah.
as early as like 2:30 or like, yeah.
Yeah, with congested traffic on the road, which.
Yeah, so we're hoping to position the SRO on the road to help with that. But on the road is technically a slightly different location. It's not on our campus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna put my pitch out there that parents who are dropping off, picking up, use the entire sidewalk, even at the high school. Go all the way up the sidewalk.
Around the
like,
horseshoe.
all the way to the beginning of the horseshoe, because that is helpful, and I'm gonna encourage families who opt to drop off to definitely use the entire sidewalk. So that's my.
So when we did that, we did a bus tour yesterday with our new employees, and we did highlight the fact that the high school lights project, which will probably kick back into full gear on day one of school. That's usually when it happens. But the traffic, and Principal McSweeney does not know that quite yet, how that is very challenging. Kids will be late, families will be late, which I'm sorry to say my response is you plan accordingly. You know it's that way every morning in that window.
I can say a commute from my house to the high school is 9 minutes, and I've had a 42-minute commute from my house.
Oh, I know.
Some days you
So
plan for
sometimes
the
you can
extra.
plan.
Yeah.
I know.
Some days you try to plan for it and you still end up about 20 minutes late. It's been a
crazy.
struggle.
But like Kathy was saying, particularly at drop-off in the morning as well, but in the afternoon with pickup, they need to come all the way around to the end of the sidewalk that's like near the wood shop room. And because they truly get stuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Way
nice
out.
to drop your child off at the door, and
No,
as
they can
parents,
walk.
we like to try to be convenient, but the
not gonna
sidewalk, like, it's more helpful, and it does try to keep things moving. That's my only. And then,
So-
and the same at Quashnet as well, because that sidewalk is also a very long sidewalk, and if you get all the way to the end of it, more families can pick up and drop off, and more efficient. So
Yeah.
all
And
that.
so as you observe, you may see a campus alternative when you're with your expertise to say, let's do drop-off over here. I don't know, there are possibilities there.
And a reminder that every child in Mashpee who lives in Mashpee has a bus seat. So every child, no matter where they live, can access the bus. And I say that being a hypocrite because my kid doesn't take the bus, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that no matter where you live in Mashpee, you can get on a bus.
That is true.
So, anything else you wanted to mention on any of the others? Anyone have anything else? Okay.
No.
This was listed for a vote, but again, it was a first read, so I'm not sure. We don't, if you wanted more, does anyone feel they need more time with it? I guess is the question.
Personally, I think I would like to take another swing at it.
Okay. So then I guess I'll entertain a motion to postpone the vote to the
Can I
next.
ask a question about that? Usually, we give it out when school starts. So
Yeah, you don't have another meeting
you don't have another
before.
meeting before that, so that's just a little tricky, I guess is what I would say from the.
Do we want to do like another special meeting like we've done in the past?
We could do it as a Zoom.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah,
week.
that's what I was thinking.
Would next week work?
That's fine. Yeah.
All right. Would that work for you
That
to
work?
do it in a week?
It was just one or two points. I think
Oh, well,
we've clarified some of them.
well,
I wanted to, I guess, take a little bit of a closer look at the harassment section.
Okay.
But that's something that I can also do fairly quickly.
Not to discourage you from looking at it, but I will say the harassment policy typically does get vetted through Sarah, our legal.
Yep.
And so any changes to the harassment policy typically are coming from her and are like either from her, from Mass, or, they're things that we have, like, that come from a legal standpoint as opposed to us changing them so much.
Okay.
And that, I'm assuming you did say Sarah.
yes, there's,
that-
Sarah looked at that. There's nothing that we created.
Yeah, typically that one is like one that is like a standing one that legal will updates are needed. in a sense.
Yeah. Well, with my newness to the committee and with that further understanding, I feel comfortable with if we wanted to move forward with the vote.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the changes to the.
Do you have to waive? And is it
Oh,
first?
we have to waive. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion to waive the first read for the following handbook for Tennessee Coombs, Quashnet School, and Mashpee High School.
Thank you, Brian.
And I can second that.
Thank you, Dan. Any other discussion?
No.
Hearing none. Matt, let's start with you.
A yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
I also am a yes. So now I will entertain a motion to approve the changes and updates to the parent-student handbooks for the schools as presented.
Motion.
And I'll second as well.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Brian. And any other discussion?
No.
Okay. Matt,
I'm a yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
I also am a yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for the hard work on updating those. I know that's a daunting task sometimes. Okay, up next, policy subcommittee meeting report out on policy BEDH, public comment at school committee meetings, which is pages 24 and 25 of the packet. Matt, do you want to take this one, or you want me to talk? Either way, I'm fine either way.
Yeah. So essentially, we got together and we compared like a mask review that we like had them side by side with what our current policy was, and what you can see in the red is what we have adopted, and some of it like was just we had similar language but just in different places, and so we were kind of making it make more logical sense in our document. I don't know if anyone has any questions as you're reading through it,
Can I?
and I don't know if you want to expound on that.
Yes, go ahead.
The only thing I want to add is that our attorney, Sarah Spatafor, also reviewed this with our red edits. And so anything that's red underlined are sort of her additions. Or if she crossed something out that was in red, that reflects Sarah. So I just left it as is. So anything underlined, you can see where she made tweaks to it or she crossed out. So we started all red and then she edited some red.
Thank you for that clarification. So I think the recommendation of the policy subcommittee was that these edits kind of tightened up our public comment section, and that tied into what we discussed also at our retreat, which was, making sure public comment was efficient, effective, and aligned with the latest legal decisions regarding public comment in the state of Massachusetts. So kind of what these changes reflect. But if anybody has any questions about this. Again, this would be a don't have, well, we do have a vote on it. So if we want to dispense with the first read and approve, vote to approve, we would like to wait on this as well. That's, I will leave that to the committee to consider. Anyone have any thoughts?
I think it's pretty consistent with what we have explored, so I feel comfortable making a motion to waive, I guess, the first read and to move to a vote.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Need a second on that?
I just didn't want a second because I was part of the team that was looking, so it's not like a first read for me.
You can, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Matt, second, thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, discussion, I guess.
Okay.
So this is the first time we're seeing this, right? This was in the packet though, prior to.
Yes,
Because Don's not here. So, but he did have this
he did.
prior to the meeting.
He did.
I think the other thing is, have we checked with other entities and authorities, such as like town council? I understand we have our own legal counsel, but is this consistent with pretty much what the town is doing or other committees and or commissions?
I can speak for where I work, which is a municipality. This is consistent, like the language is moving towards, it really is just protecting free speech and no longer saying it has to, there's no restrictions to free speech. The time limits are pretty consistent throughout the state in terms of public comment. So that part also is consistent. And at our retreat, we had discussed removing and making it just one public comment session, which is why in number 4 you see the changes to the time there. Of course, always welcoming any written comments, but I know from what I've had to do in my day job, this was pretty consistent with what I've been seeing other municipalities have to do for open meetings.
And then the final thing is, has this been shared to the families or in any of the superintendent's communications? Like basically, has there been notice to the public or the community that
We
we're
haven't,
looking at changing?
no, I don't think we have to until it's changed.
No, I just think through the public minutes of your,
Well, and we did make sure the agenda was the whole packet was posted. Not that anyone goes looking for the packet, but it was on the web, it was on the website.
I do, I go looking for it.
So, yeah, everything was there.
I'm also looking at the select board, just the most recent agenda from Mashpee, and I don't even see a public comment on it for this last one.
There have been, I don't know if the select board, but I want to say the planning board removed it as well.
I'm not saying
I know
they
another-
removed it, I'm just saying they had this meeting on August 17th, I don't see public comment at all. So, yeah.
I mean, we aren't,
Question, but-
and that's the thing, we aren't legally required to have it in the state of Mass. Like, we don't even need to have public comments, so that's the other. We choose to because we do want to hear what our families have to say, but it's not something that is legally required at open meetings. So, but I feel strongly that we should be a place to listen. But public comment is kind of a unique thing in the sense that it's not, as we are adding for a discussion, debate, or dialogue. It's really just to make us aware, and then we would potentially place it as an agenda item in the future.
I think my only reserve would be not getting feedback from the community or parents or other people.
Have we typically done feedback on policy changes that we've proposed to the school committee?
Not in the proposal section, in the post section, if I go on the survey question.
Once it's been
Once it's been done.
Once it's been approved, like
Historically.
prior to approval, we don't typically put out policy changes for the school committee policies.
Not beyond within the agenda.
understand your concern. My thought is that if people had questions after we approve it, I mean, there's nothing to say we can't refer it back to policy subcommittee if there are, really strong and valid questions that don't agree with what we've approved. I mean, you can always refer it back to policy subcommittee and ask them to take another pass at it with those comments in mind. I don't think that's a bad thing to do if somebody does have feelings over this new policy, but
You could also leave tonight as the first read.
yep, we definitely can do that as well.
And we can go to the next meeting and we can share it.
From my perspective, like once we like make these types of changes to a policy, we're not removing public comment, and we're not removing the public's ability to reach out to us. So if someone did have like disdain for like the new process or anything like that, they could voice that, and we have like processes in place for that. So we could go back and make to the drawing board and make those edits.
Honestly, I'm not sure though. I mean, I'm just trying to see where someone might have an issue. I mean, it expands the
Yeah.
time people are able to present. I don't know that there's too much different here. Again,
Mhm.
the timing was pretty standard from my understanding, and maybe that's the only place I could think people might want more time, but it is at the discretion of the chair to allow more time in extenuating circumstances. So, again, if I defer to the committee's will, if they would like to keep this as a first read and move the vote to our next meeting, that's fine. We do have a motion on the table right now to vote on this as is, so I would either need that motion removed or we vote on it. So.
Well, I guess my only additional comments is a part of the feedback that I think we've received was that folks desired more time to be able to provide their comments. I think between providing that and also, recognizing that kind of freedom of free speech aspect of just kind of the wording change, I don't see any removal of authority or support for folks that are coming to voice their opinions beyond just consolidating from 2 to 1. So I think in my viewpoint, my request for a motion stands.
My second stands too, because I feel if anything, we expanded it, like the public's ability to reach us in that forum.
All right, well, any further discussion before we move to vote? No, hearing none. Dan?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
No.
And I am a yes. Thank you all. And again, if people do have questions or concerns, please feel free to email. I know I'm always happy to receive emails and hear what people's thoughts are on things. So please, to Brian's point, if there is something in public comments that we've just passed, feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. So,
Madam Chair, just to confirm, so that was that the vote to waive first read, and then now we have to vote on approving?
yes, sorry, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just putting that out there though too. So then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the edits to the public comment at school committee meeting document.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I think I would just state for the record again why I'll be in opposition to this. I feel like we already did it for the employee handbook, but to continue to use the policies to circumvent processes, I feel like we should, stick to it. If it's not a time-sensitive matter, then I don't, see the need to waive, but majority rules, so fine with that.
Could you elaborate, I guess, I'm a little confused what we're circumventing.
This is the first read,
Mm-hmm.
so I can understand what the pressing issue with that, but I don't understand why this was a pressing issue. But like I said, it was something that you guys felt was something that we needed to move forward with.
Okay, may I ask a clarifying question? Just in learning or better understanding, what I had heard was that a part of prospectively not having a vote on it was to provide an opportunity for feedback from the community, which seems to be different than our typical approach. So I guess, would it be our benefit to, I guess, reread and kind of take it from that approach, or is there another more feedback that we're looking for at this point?
Personally, that would be I feel like our policies are not something we typically, unless it's really impacting. I mean, these are how we operate as a committee policy, so I'm not sure that's something we typically put out for public comment. I mean, public comment was at this meeting. If people did have feelings and read through the packet and knew, they would have, submitted public comment prior to. And again, they're always welcome to submit public, comments on any of our policies at any point in time, and have us discuss them. I'm trying to recall in my tenure so far whether or not we've ever taken a first read and put it out to the public for review before we as a committee vote on it. And I'm not thinking of any, really.
I don't think it necessarily goes out for public comment or public input. I think it sits there and everyone knows, okay, that was the first read. So if I were to add, it's not sort of this proactive as to trying to become, but I don't think on policies you've ever done it that way. You have often done the first and second read.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I think my point is back to the goals that we set as a committee to share this information with the public and to get that feedback. And we've talked about adding community members to some of the policy committees and things like that, or the curriculum committees, to help us with some of this feedback. So that's kind of really the only point here. If it's traditionally been 2 public comments, the fact that we're changing one of them, regardless of if it's not school start time or something else that's controversial, I mean, I don't feel like I have a duty to the students, but I also have a duty to my constituents as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that clarity.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, so we voted to waive the first read. I'm not sure where that.
Well, you got it also
Yeah,
a motion
and we have a motion
to pass
to pass it
and a second.
and a second.
Now,
So again,
now
are
you do the vote.
are we leaving that motion, or are we?
As to the why.
I think the motion would need to be amended. I'm wondering if the motion needs to be amended, I guess, is where I'm at right now. The current motion is, Sherry, can you read that current motion back, if you don't mind? Sorry.
No. The current one is to waive, we waived the first read, and now this one is to approve the.
Well, the way I'm interpreting this is, it seems like anything outside of the way we're kind of doing this procedure right now, is outside of how we have our kind of like standardized processes set up right now. So I think aside from like us, where we review it and then we as committee vote on it, I don't think that we have a procedure or a process in place yet to do kind of like what is kind of contesting right now.
Yeah, but.
So I think like if we were gonna do something like that, we would almost have to be creating a procedure and a process before we like change any policy or anything moving forward. So I guess I'm wondering is, are we at that point right now where we don't want to move forward with anything else until we start having a process for public involvement in the decision making?
I think you're getting a little ahead. So I hear what you're saying, and that is potentially an item to discuss at another time. But what was the motion currently is?
To approve policy BEDH, public comment at school committee meetings as edited.
Okay. And so right now, the motion is to approve it as presented.
Right.
And to Superintendent DeBoer's point, if we vote no, that will reflect that we are not approving it, we would have to then, I'm assuming, refer it back to, no, we could bring it back.
on the next.
Alright.
If
Okay.
it's voted no,
Yep,
and if the person who made the motion wants to withdraw, they can. If they don't want to, then you vote.
yep, so if you wanna withdraw, that's the motion, that's option one, option two is we vote.
So, better hear Brian's perspective. I still don't think that many changes will be made, but if we do want to provide that as an option, then I'm comfortable with withdrawing the motion to provide that and to have a second pass at it.
Okay, so motion withdrawn. Alright, so we'll see this on the next agenda. Thank you all for the discussion, I appreciate the input. Greatly.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what is your expectation between now and the next meeting in terms of communicating to stakeholders?
Well, we're gonna talk next about our committee retreat report out, so I'm assuming that part of it will be in the blurb that we agreed is
So I
gonna
was thinking
start.
about
Yeah.
someone we're going to speak at the end of the meeting, we can talk about that.
Yeah. So, okay, so we I almost wish we had flipped the school committee retreat report out before all the votes. So, didn't think of that until we got into these discussions, which were very good, so thank you all. So up next is our school committee retreat report out from August 8th. We as a committee met here at the Quashnet School. We had Andrew in attendance as well, as he is an, my mind is blanking, a deliberative, non-voting member of the school committee now. So we all met and we looked at the school committee self-evaluation, which is included in the packet from pages 26 through 32, and kind of reviewed some of the places. This is a slightly different survey than we've done in the past. It's a little bit more detailed. The approach we took was to kind of look where we saw higher numbers in the sometimes and nevers, and kind of use those in alignment with the superintendent's goals, the district's goals, or I'm sorry, not the superintendent's goals, but the leadership team's goals, the district improvement plan, and try to align everything so that our goals that we created aligned with what the district was trying to do, which ultimately will hopefully help students achieve their best. Does anyone want to share any thoughts on the retreat before we move on?
I think my thoughts seemed to be incredibly productive. I think that being able to be in that space and to have some pretty intense conversations about the approach that we wanted to take and to really respect the feedback that we've received from parents, caregivers, and students felt really good. And also in Andrew bringing his perspective into the mix, very gracious, filled with gratitude for you being in that space as well.
Great. That being said, it was I would agree, it was a very productive day. And what we kind of came up with on pages 33 and 34 are our 3 goals for the 23-24 school year. And these are the draft goals, which we need to vote to approve, so that we can begin working on them. In our survey, we noted that engagement with the community and families in our district was something that was needing a little bit of improvement, as was continuing student voice, and also educating people on what the school committee does. So with those kind of standing out from the survey, goal 1, during the school year 23-24, the school committee will increase engagement with and participation by all stakeholders as measured by data collected on the annual MPS Family Opinion Survey. And this aligned with the Pillar 4 Plan for Success, Pillar 4 Mashpee Connected Community Initiatives 4.4 and 4.5. Below that are the action steps. I do want to note in our action steps, we are going to be establishing a schedule of drop-in Zoom meetings that will be hosted by rotating school committee members. which will be open to all stakeholders, so families, citizens who are just interested in what's going on in the schools, anyone who just is curious in our school district and what amazing things our students and faculty are doing will be able to check in and talk to us. But in addition to that, we are also going to make sure that the meeting minutes and any handouts provided at our meetings are available. We are also going to make sure and kind of tweak how we ensure that the agenda is provided in advance rather than just on the website. We want to make sure that people have a little bit more of an understanding of what's coming up at future meetings. And we will also be doing short video follow-ups after the meetings to highlight things that were discussed at the meeting, which will be played and given to the principal blogs, communications, Mashpee and Prep. It'll be posted places for people to see. Goal 2 was during school year 23-24, the school committee will engage in activities to inform and educate stakeholders about the role of school committee as measured by data collected on the annual MPS Family Opinion Survey. This aligns to the Plan for Success Pillar 4, Initiatives 4.5 and 4.6. And again, the action steps, we're going to be, again, having those Zoom meetings. We're going to make sure that school committee members are attending events at the school and Town of Mashpee events as well, so that, you know, we are accessible in a more visible way to the families and to the stakeholders in Mashpee. We're going to make sure our member biographies are updated to the school district website, and we're going to make sure our brochure is up to date and distributed in an efficient way. And then finally, goal 3, during school year 23-24, the school committee will foster and support a systemic model for student engagement via the student advisory committee as evidenced by data collected through the annual student survey and reporting out by our student representative. And this aligns to Plan for Success Pillar 2, Initiative 2.2, as well as Plan for Success Pillar 4, Initiatives 4.4, 4.5, and 4.6. And the action step for that is part of having a student advisory committee. The school committee as a whole must meet every other month with the student advisory committee, which is comprised of 5 students. Andrew is the chair, which is why he is at our table. And these are the proposed dates for those meetings. So those will be a chance for the school committee and the student advisory committee as a whole to collaborate on the months that we don't just have Andrew at these meetings, and allow them to have access to us as a committee as well. All of that being said, does anyone want to add anything to that or discuss anything else of those goals? What we found in the data, again, just to clarify too, in the survey results, we saw that families really, in the family opinion survey, we noticed that people felt they needed more engagement. We also noted that families didn't really know what the school committee did. There was a drop after COVID, so we would like to try to continue getting back to informing the community what we as a school committee do and what the 3 pillars we oversee are, so that's part of that. And then again, increasing student voice is very important for all of us, which is what helped really inform goal number 3. And it's kind of the final step of a year-long process here, getting that student advisory committee. That being said, I will entertain a motion to adopt the school year 23-24 school committee goals as presented.
Motion.
And second?
I will second.
All right, any discussion?
I think Matt's having some audio issues. I don't know if that came back on.
Matt, can you hear us?
Oh, it looks like there's something in the chat.
Yeah, there's a chat.
She's got the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you though.
He's trying to rejoin. Is anyone talking? I don't hear anything still. He's rejoined like 2 times.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second, and if Matt can hear and wants to type his vote, I believe that counts as public record. So, Dan?
I vote yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Do you want to give Matt a second to see if Matt can hear?
Waiting was gonna ask, like, the student advisory committee, will any of those be, oh, he said C, I'm a yes.
Okay.
See the letter C.
Yeah, I also am a yes, so.
Okay. Maybe that some of them might be Zoom, I don't know how that might be.
Yes, I think we probably can figure that out. I know you guys are gonna be busy when school gets
Yeah.
going, with sports and after-school clubs, so yeah, we definitely can talk about Zoom and the actual, whether we do every other one in person, whether it's Zoom sometimes. Most of them, I believe, aligned with our school committee meeting, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, they all have the week in advance of the school
Yes.
committee meeting. And then I think once we approve these, the outreach working group will get together and do some of the nitty-gritty.
Okay. All right, and then the last thing in new business would be the report out from our August 9th Mashpee Public Schools, Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe joint meeting. Myself, Matt, and Brian were in attendance along with Superintendent DeBoer, the administrators, and personally, I think it was a very good meeting. I feel like, we were able to share some of the bigger concepts that we're working on here at the school. We discussed the survey results with the tribal council and let them know, what our focus was on and trying to work on improving safety and that feeling of safety for our students within our school. It was also very interesting to hear what the tribe's been focusing on. So I personally, for me, I found it very enriching and always good to collaborate and understand the needs of the tribe in our school district. So I enjoy that meeting very much every year to get their perspective and their input and answer their questions on what we're doing in the schools. Brian, I don't know if you would like to share. I know you kind of were wearing two hats that night, so.
It was definitely a positive and productive meeting. I think that we kind of lead by example with the school committee. I know the select board had met with the tribe a couple of times here and there, but for us to be consistent and follow through with the vision that Nicole and other people had and Patty had, before us, to make sure that we carry out those relationships and the projects that are going on both in the school and outside of the school, and just the great work that the district does do in collaboration with the tribe's education department, from flag raisings to making sure that the tribe always has an item in a spot on our agendas to make sure their voice is always heard. It's greatly appreciated. So thank you to everyone that contributes, and Kathy as well as being the liaison to the tribe and the partnership meetings that we continue to have.
Yes, those partnership meetings are very valuable, so I appreciate everybody's effort on both sides to ensure that those partnership meetings inform our decisions and our work, because we know, like I said, that night, there's still a lot of work to do, and I acknowledge that, and I think we all acknowledge there's still a lot to be done. So, but I think, having those open discussions and having the ability to come together and share what both sides are seeing and experiencing is where the real work begins. So I thank you as tribal chairman for allowing those meetings to happen and getting that coordinated. So thank you, but also thank you as a school committee member for wearing that hat and helping support the students as much as you do as well. So if you haven't watched it, families or anyone who's interested, the link is available. It was in the agenda, but I believe it's also via Mashpee TV as well. So if you are interested to see how that meeting went, please feel free to watch it, just as any of our wonderful school committee meetings. So there's my plug for Mashpee TV. All right, are there any items the chair did not reasonably know in advance? Does anyone have anything they would like to discuss or bring up?
Can we get an update on the charter with you guys?
Sure. Definitely. That's been a very interesting experience. Yeah, I'll put that on the next agenda. Anything else? Okay. And do we have anyone for public comment? Okay. And that being said, we have dispensed with the agenda, therefore the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.